Hey everyone, it's me. It's been a minute since I've been on. I do apologize. I have been a bit laid up. So if you don't recall, I started up the Christmas promo a little before Christmas. And then I've been really bombarded with reading since. So that means a good thing. You know what I mean? It means a lot of people are interested in what I do. Interviews are going to be coming out next week. But then in the midst of that, uh, I also had a tumble down the stairs and I really injured myself, so I haven't been really wanting or feeling up to much. And this week is the first week where I actually feel like I'm coming back to life. For those that don't know me, my name is Ashley. I'm a higher self channeler. I was kind of disappointed that a lot of you did not show up for the Christmas promo for the free readings between Christmas and January 6th. Fortunately, it's now ended, but the first time on Monday. And I'm going to open the floor up to any questions you guys may have about the higher self, higher consciousness, what it is, how do you attain it, etc. But today, I'm going to be talking about timelines. I'm going to put like another version of this side by side so you can see. So I see this a lot. You know, people are like, oh, I jumped timelines. I did this timelines. I did that timelines. And not for nothing. I understand the concept. I've gone through it several times in the last couple of years. But the way people make it seem is like as if you're jumping timelines all the time. And unfortunately, I don't think it works that way. I think major things have to be agreed upon. I think certain decision factors have to come into play. And I think sometimes you have to close what I would call long patterned loops. So I don't think people just jump timelines, you know, just for the fun of it. I think it takes some work. But aside from that, if you are someone who feels like you have jumped timelines and you need some corroboration as to how that happened, or what takes place. I'm going to be talking about what takes place when you jump timelines. So maybe you can understand how you got there is one thing, and then what happens and takes place afterwards is another thing. So I'll talk about that. And maybe the next video I do is what qualifies or what quantifies or what situations take place so that you can jump timelines. Because it's not a willy-nilly thing. A lot of people seem to be like, oh, did you jump a timeline when you saw number 444? And I'm like, I've had to do a lot of work to jump my timeline, so I don't know don't know why everyone else is just like looking and gazing at easy things and it's happening, because I that's not genuinely what I believe. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. But if you have jumped some timelines and you're wondering how to take notice to this or what takes place or what are some key factors, 4 things that take place that you can take notice to, and these are real factors, not just hearsay. These are real things. When you are jumping a timeline, certain decisions were made. What may fall away, and this is what I'm saying, there's certain things fall away. Like it could be a long-term partner, it could be family members, it could be long-term friends, short-term friends, but usually long-term friends, and or work. And usually these people shape your lifestyle. So you have to understand this isn't like people that are, you know, third-party persons to you. These are major characters in your story of life. And what happens is this is a shakeup or it's a big change to your current lifestyle. Maybe one you've had for a decade, 2 decades, whatever the case may be. The shakeup is the main notification to you that you're about to jump timelines or you just have jumped timelines. Okay? And how you work with what's next determines some other things. These timeline jumps, what you may notice is, I'm not going to say this in a nice and polite way, but sometimes you'll understand what I'm saying. Some of these followaways are kind of directly targeting your innermost wants, wishes. And some of you might look at me and be like, what, you know, how dare you say that? But let's just be real. If they were energetically bound with you, if they were energetically succinct, if they were energetically matching you, then when you timeline jump, they would come with you. But what you'll notice in this huge change, a lot of people fall away in all of those categories I mentioned. And the other thing is you can't fight it. And another thing is that it's quite effortless. So underlyingly, sometimes these changes, you may feel like it's shaking you up to the core, but in a couple months' time, you'll start to notice that it gets a lot easier and you didn't have to do much. Strikingly, how these timeline shifts cause, or let's say the universe creates these changes, is by ways of like, let's say all of a sudden you've got to move away. You might have lived somewhere 10, 20, 30 years, and then all of a sudden, you know, a hurricane hits your town, you got to move. Or there's some huge influx of pricing, you got to go. There's something major that comes into your life. It's some form of either falling out. Maybe you and your friends have a huge fallout. I can testify to that. multiple deaths take place all at the same time. Like, let's say several aunts, some cousins, multiple deaths may occur that shake up, let's say, the family units, and then all of that makes certain things come into phase, come out of phase, and then break things down. He is going through a reconfiguration, or your position becomes obsolete all of a sudden, as if you didn't see it coming. It gave you no real foreshadowing that it was going to be present. So when these major changes occur, the shake up or the change to your lifestyle at first, it's like they kind of work together. Major change in your lifestyle occurs, and then you'll notice that things start falling away quite simply. An example of what happened with me. I know this has happened to many people in different forms and fashion, so that's why I can speak to it. About 3 years ago, I had a earth-shaking breakup with an ex. And not for nothing, at the exact same time that I was breaking up with this person, I lost, I would say, off and on 100-ish really close and semi-close, acquaintances and friends, all at the same time. It was like one situation, like I said, one shift, one shakeup caused the shattering of the rest somehow. And I couldn't really pinpoint how it occurred. I mean, like how I lost, close to 100 people out of my life by breaking up with one person doesn't really make sense when you say it like that. But did I live it? Yeah. Did I watch it happen? Yeah. Did I understand it? No. Do I understand it now? Yes. But I'm just saying, it's like it was one of those things that kind of like the first shakeup caused the second to occur. So moving on, once this big transformation occurs for you, you'll notice that there's a lot of space for new friends, new connections, a new job, a new career, a new path altogether that you may never ever thought of that you could pursue. Like you'll notice that, let's say, for example, you've been in the same job for 20 years and you're like, oh, I always wanted to start my own business, but I never knew the time or place. You'll notice that when a new timeline is presented to you, this big shakeup and the fall away of everybody or everything allows you this opening portion of existence to walk into a new life. That's what I'm going to call it. So the new timeline affords you a new life in a sense. Now, like I said, it is selection based. It just happened. You don't flow with them. Okay? Let's say you fight them. Let's say you're like, I want to get everybody back, or I want to go and stick to the same job I had, or I'm going to try to fight. You may not jump timelines because you're trying so desperately to cling to the older one that is kind of all falling away for you. Okay? Now, if you do cling to it and you do jump, you'll notice, like I said, a new breath of fresh air comes in, a new set of friends come in, a new job opportunity, a new career, a new life change comes into play for you. This takes place, that shift does take time, right? Like to jump to a new timeline is interesting because somehow it all flows into place. You don't know how it happened. Again, you don't know how it fell away and you don't know how it happened, right? So I'd say it takes about 6 months to kind of notice this. Like once you're involved in the new timeline. What you'll notice is that, let's say, for example, your old life, the old friends, the old business partners, the old family members, basically everybody that you didn't want to take with you into the new timeline falls away, and you don't hear about them anymore. I mean, you don't see them on social media. You don't see them in your day-to-day. Like, for example, I'll say that I live right by a mall. And there's no way that I could go to that mall and not run into like 5 of those people that I lost. Okay? On any given day. And since this timeline shift, I don't see any of them. I don't want to see any of them. And I don't see any of them. And that is significant. It's not like I see them and run and hide. That's not what occurs. It's just that you just don't see them. As you shift into your new timeline, they don't exist anymore. Somewhat. I don't know how to explain it. Like, obviously, they're still alive and they're still around somewhere. But for some reason, you just don't run into them anymore. You're not on the same frequency pattern. You're not on the same timeline anymore. So, therefore, you don't have the same vibrational frequency you did in the old timeline. So, let's say, for example, if people were drawn to your frequency in that old timeline, it would be like as if they're making a call to an old number. It would say this number is no longer in service. So it's like whenever they think of you or feed out to your energetic, trying to attach an energetic cord, it's like as if you've changed frequency. And not so much that your signature changed, but maybe you've changed octave, if that makes sense. It's like you can still be, the note C, but it's like, are you a high C, a low C, a mid C? Basically, it's like as if they're calling a number that's no longer in service. So that it'll kind of bounce back and you won't receive any messages or anything from them. It's the best way I could describe it. This is in a spiritual sense. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're not jumping timelines. If you are jumping timelines, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I will say that takes place and is quite of a remarkable feat to understand, especially as someone like myself who is very emotional, has always been, ride or die emotional, would always like be there for people, defend people, love people, still do, is that for some reason, once you jump timelines, all that emotional baggage or emotional awareness or the pain, the suffering, the things you went through with these people, places, things, right? You'll notice you can't remember any of it. I think that's a bonus. I think that's the universe's way of like actually cleaning that slate for you. Like in some instances, when you jump timelines and you jump into a new life, like legitimately, your old life no longer exists. So it's like you don't even recognize the old person you were. And some people think that this is like a metaphorical thing. And it's like, actually, it's not. I have the memories of an elephant. I can remember many, many, many memories. But now it's like, even if I recall memories with any of these lost persons from that old timeline, they don't have any emotional baggage or weight or like I just see it as a case by case scenario versus like remembering how I felt in the moment. Like even if it was some tragedy that they performed on me, I can't remember the pain I felt. So that's a unique additive to a timeline jump. If you're someone who has successfully jumped timelines, any notwithstanding, no, I'll say withstanding any type of bad vibes, feelings, hurts that you've felt from people from an old timeline, you won't carry that with you into the new timeline. Like, yes, I'll say in my newer timeline, I've been injured by these newer people in my life. But again, imagine when I jump from this timeline to the next, which I am, pursuantly doing at this moment. Those people that hurt me within this encapsulament of time will be obsolete once again. Like they'll just phase out of my existence once again. So I genuinely feel like timeline shifts are not something you just do easily. They come with a lot of consideration, a lot of choices, a lot of major shadow dissolution. Like for example, with mine in the last year since I've done the first shift, I know I'm shifting to a next phase because of closing out a major cycle that has been plaguing me for about 30 years or so. So to say that a timeline jump, the first one was 3 years ago, and I closed out a cycle that was, let's say, 20 some years long. So this one is a more major cycle that I'm closing. So you can imagine if the first one had such tremendous results, what will the second one do? So I don't believe that we're just constantly like jumping timelines because these major things have to occur. The major shifts, the major changes in persons, to your lifestyle, etc. So please note that I'm not a fan of just making stuff up to make it up. I always bring, my life experience and what I've seen others go through and talk to, because like I said, I talk to a lot of different people, and those that are on the up and up that know what this is, they know exactly what's taking place. And for those of you that are just wondering what it is, this is the best rendition I can give you. So I really do love you guys. I hope you see me on Monday when I open up the floor. I think once a week or twice a week, I'm going to try to go live and give you guys the best feedback I can or direction I can when it comes to a lot of esoteric topics. Because realistically, I feel like we're in a generational change where a lot of us have to come on, and I'm going to do my best. So, peace out. Talk to you next time. Bye for now.